The council chamber was the largest room Taman had ever seen. It stretched so far that he could barely see the walls on the other side. The ceiling glowed with light from stars millions of miles away. Hundreds of alien creatures sat in rows that went up and up like a stadium. Some had too many legs. Some had no legs at all. Some floated in the air. Some were so small he could barely see them. Some were so big they needed special seats. Tay-Min stood at a podium made of white stone. His hands were behind his back. His fingers were pressed together so hard they hurt. He was trying not to show how angry he was. He had been Earth's ambassador for 12 years. He had learned to keep his face calm even when he wanted to scream. But today was different. Today they were judging a child. Hayun stood in the center of the room. She was only 6 years old. She wore a simple blue dress that her mother had sent with her to the colony. Her black hair was pulled back in a ponytail. Her eyes were red from crying. She looked so small in that huge room. She looked lost. There were guards around her. Not human guards. Alien guards with weapons that could stun or kill. They stood there like Hayun was dangerous. Like she was a criminal. Like she was something to be afraid of. Tay-Min wanted to go to her. He wanted to pick her up and carry her out of this place. But he couldn't. He had to follow the rules. He had to let the council do things their way. If he didn't, they might make things worse for Hayun. The charges were serious. 3 days ago, Hayun had been playing in a recreation dome on Vestara 4. It was a mining colony where humans worked alongside aliens. The children went to school together. They played together. At least they were supposed to. According to the report, Hayun had attacked another child. The victim was a Vrelian named Soft Carapace. Vrelians looked like giant insects. They had hard shells covering their bodies. They had 6 legs and sharp parts on their arms that looked like blades. They were one of the older species in the council. They had been traveling in space for thousands of years. Before humans even invented the wheel, Soft Carapace had been hurt badly. Its shell had cracked. It needed medical treatment. The doctor said it would heal, but the crack would leave a scar. For Vrelians, a scarred shell was shameful. It meant weakness. The Vrelian ambassador was a tall creature named Veshkar. Its shell was deep purple and shiny. Its wings buzzed when it was angry. Right now, they were buzzing very loudly. "The human child is a danger," Veshkar said. Its voice came through a translator that made it sound like clicking and scraping. "She attacked my child without reason. She used violence without provocation. This is the nature of humans. They are predators. They are violent. Their young cannot control themselves." Other aliens nodded. Some made sounds of agreement. Taman felt his stomach turn cold. At the front of the room, the arbiter floated. It was called a Mindweaver. It had no body that Taman could see. It was just a glowing ball of light that pulsed different colors, but it could speak directly into everyone's mind. When it talked, Taman heard the words inside his head. "We have reviewed the evidence," the Mindweaver said. Its voice was calm and cold like a computer. "The surveillance footage shows the human juvenile striking the Vrelian juvenile with significant force. The injury is documented. The human child shows physical capabilities beyond acceptable parameters for safe interaction with other species." The Mindweaver pulsed red. "Under galactic law, we must classify the human child as a developmental predator, a beast in juvenile form. She poses a danger to other children. Our recommendation is immediate removal from council space. She will be returned to Earth. She will not be allowed to leave Earth until she reaches adult age. At that time, she may apply for travel permits if she can prove she has learned control." Hayun made a small sound. It was like a whimper. Like a hurt animal. She was trying not to cry again, but tears were already running down her face. "I don't understand," she said. Her voice was so quiet. "I didn't mean to. I just wanted it to stop." Nobody answered her. The aliens just stared. Some looked at her with fear. Some looked at her with disgust. Like she was something dirty. Taman's hands were shaking now. He pressed them harder together. His nails dug into his palms. He took a deep breath. Then another. He had to stay calm. He had to think. "I request permission to speak," he said. The Mindweaver turned to look at him. At least Taemin thought it was looking at him. It was hard to tell with something that was just light. "Ambassador Taemin," the Mindweaver said, "you may speak. But understand that the evidence is clear. Your emotional attachment to your species does not change the facts." "I'm not asking you to ignore facts," Taemin said. He stepped forward. His voice was steady now. "I'm asking you to see all the facts, not just the ones that fit your conclusion." The Iskari's wings buzzed louder. "What other facts are there?" "My child was injured. The human did it. This is not complicated." "No," Taemin agreed. "It's not complicated. But it's also not complete." He pulled out a small device from his pocket. "I have the full surveillance footage, with audio. The version you reviewed had no sound. You saw what happened, but you didn't hear it." The Mindweaver pulsed yellow. Yellow meant curiosity. Audio was not available in the original file. "Because the dome systems were malfunctioning that day," Taemin said. "But my staff worked through the night. We recovered the audio track. We filtered out the background noise. We have the complete recording now." He held up the device. "Before you judge a 6-year-old child, before you call her a beast and exile her from the stars, before you destroy her future, I'm asking you to listen. Listen to what really happened." The chamber was quiet. Hundreds of aliens were watching him, watching Haiyun, waiting. The Mindweaver pulsed for a long moment. Then it said, "Very well, Ambassador. Show us your evidence." Taemin loaded the file. A hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed the recreation dome. It showed Haiyun playing. It showed Soft Carapace approaching. And this time, everyone could hear what they said to each other. Taemin watched the aliens as they watched the recording. He saw their reactions. He saw understanding start to dawn on some faces. He saw shame on others. He looked at Haiyun. She was watching too. Watching herself on that terrible day. Watching the moment that changed everything. "Just watch," Taemin said quietly. "And then tell me who the beast really is." The hologram grew larger until it filled the center of the council chamber. Everyone could see clearly now. The recording showed a bright room with colored blocks scattered on the floor. Windows showed the red sky of Vestara 4 outside. Several children were playing in different areas. Haiyun sat by herself near a window. She was building a tower with blocks. Red ones on the bottom, then blue, then yellow. She was humming a song. Taemin recognized it. It was a children's song from Earth about stars and dreams. Haiyun's mother used to sing it to her before bed. The timestamp showed it was early afternoon. The dome was supposed to be supervised, but the adult monitor had stepped away. Later, they found out she had gone to fix a water dispenser that was broken. She was only gone for 15 minutes. But 15 minutes was all it took. Soft Carapace entered the room. The Vrelian child was bigger than Haiyun. Most Vrelian children were bigger than human children. They grew faster. Their shells hardened early to protect them. Soft Carapace's shell was still young, though. It had a light purple color instead of the dark purple of adults. The Vrelian walked over to Haiyun. Its 6 legs made clicking sounds on the floor. "Hello," Soft Carapace said. The translator made its voice sound high and thin. "What are you building?" Haiyun looked up. She smiled. It was the innocent smile of a child who didn't know that some creatures hated her kind. "A tower," she said. "It's going to reach all the way to the top. Want to help?" "Okay," Soft Carapace said. For 11 minutes, they played together. The recording showed them laughing. They took turns adding blocks. When the tower fell over, they both giggled and started again. Haiyun showed Soft Carapace how to balance the blocks better. Soft Carapace showed Haiyun how to make patterns with the colors. It looked like friendship. It looked like what the council wanted. Different species learning to live together, learning to understand each other. Then everything changed. Soft Carapace put down a block and said something. On the hologram, subtitles appeared in multiple languages so everyone could understand. My parent says your kind are death makers. Heyun's smile faded. She looked confused. What? Death makers, Soft Carapace repeated. My parent says humans kill things. That you come from a world where everything tries to kill everything else. That you'll grow up and kill us all someday. Heyun's bottom lip started to tremble. That's not true. I'm not mean. I don't want to kill anyone. My parent doesn't lie, Soft Carapace said. Its mandibles clicked together. Among Vrelians, this was a sign of aggression. You're a predator thing. My parent says they shouldn't let your kind near real people. You're dangerous. I'm not dangerous, Heyun said. Her voice was getting smaller. She was shrinking into herself. I'm just a kid. You're a monster, Soft Carapace said. In the council chamber, several aliens shifted uncomfortably. Some made sounds of disapproval. But whether they disapproved of Soft Carapace's words or of the situation itself, Taemin couldn't tell. On the recording, Heyun stood up. I'm not a monster. You're being mean. I'm telling the truth, Soft Carapace said. And you can't do anything about it. If you touch me, you'll prove my parent right. Everyone will see what you really are. Heyun's hands were in fists at her sides. But she didn't move towards Soft Carapace. She just stood there, shaking. I'm going to tell the teacher, she said. She turned to walk away. That's when Soft Carapace attacked. The Vrelian child grabbed Heyun's ponytail with one of its front legs. The sharp parts on its leg tangled in her hair. It yanked hard. So hard that Heyun's head snapped back. So hard that several strands of hair ripped out of her scalp. Heyun cried out in pain. Soft Carapace pulled her down. Heyun fell backward. Her head hit the floor with a sound that made Taemin wince even though he had watched this recording 20 times already. Blood started pooling under Heyun's face. Her nose had broken from the impact. The recording showed it clearly. It showed how her nose bent at a wrong angle. It showed the blood spreading across the white floor. Heyun tried to curl up, tried to protect herself. She brought her arms up to cover her head, but Soft Carapace wasn't done. The Vrelian raised one of its front legs, the one with the sharp, blade-like edge. In the recording, the light caught that edge. It gleamed. Soft Carapace brought the leg down. Heyun's hand shot up. She caught the leg. Her small human hand wrapped around the Vrelian's limb, just below the blade. Blood from her nose dripped down her arm. Stop, Heyun said. Her voice was thick from the blood. Please stop. Soft Carapace tried to pull free. Tried to strike again, but Heyun held on. Then Heyun pushed. It wasn't a punch. It wasn't a strike. It was just a push. One desperate shove to make the attack stop. Soft Carapace flew backward. Its body tumbled through the air. It hit a support pillar on the other side of the room. The sound of its shell cracking was loud in the recording. The Vrelian slid down the pillar and lay still. Heyun scrambled to her feet. Blood covered her face and the front of her dress. She was crying hard now, sobbing. I'm sorry, she said. I'm sorry, I just wanted it to stop. She backed away from Soft Carapace. She pressed herself against the wall. She slid down until she was sitting on the floor. She pulled her knees to her chest and cried. That's where the adult monitor found them 3 minutes later. Heyun against the wall, covered in her own blood. Soft Carapace unconscious across the room, and on the floor between them, strands of black hair and a pool of red. The recording ended. The council chamber was silent. Completely silent. Hundreds of aliens and not one made a sound. Taemin let the silence stretch. Let them think about what they had seen. Let them understand what they had almost done. Finally, he spoke. Heyun defended herself, he said. His voice was quiet, but it carried through the chamber. A child was attacked. A child was injured. A child had her face slammed into the floor hard enough to break bone. And when her attacker raised a bladed limb to strike again, she stopped it. She didn't strike back. She didn't use a weapon. She pushed, once, just enough to make it stop. He looked at Deshkar. The Vrelian's wings had stopped buzzing. It stood very still. You called her a beast, Taemin said. You called her a predator. You said she attacked without provocation. He gestured at the space where the hologram had been. You watched the same recording I did. Where was the provocation? Where was the unprovoked attack? Veshkar didn't answer. Tae-min pulled up another display. This one showed medical reports. Hayun suffered a broken nose. A grade 2 concussion. 14 stitches to close the wounds where her hair was torn out. The doctor said if her head had hit the floor at a slightly different angle, her skull might have fractured. She could have died. He pulled up another image. Soft carapace suffered a cracked shell. No internal injuries. No broken bones. The doctors repaired the shell. It will heal completely in a few weeks. But the scar started. Your child tried to kill a 6-year-old, Taemin interrupted. His voice was sharp now. Your child called her a monster, called her a death maker, called her dangerous, and then tried to prove it by attacking her. And when Hayun survived, when she defended herself with the absolute minimum force necessary, you came here demanding justice. Taemin's hands gripped the podium. What justice is there in punishing a child for not dying quietly? The Mindweaver pulsed several colors at once. Red and yellow and blue swirling together. Taemin had learned that this meant the creature was thinking hard, processing information, reconsidering. The evidence does show self-defense, the Mindweaver admitted. Its voice in everyone's heads was quieter now. Less certain. However, Ambassador Taemin, the concern remains. The human child's strength is significant. She threw a Vrelian juvenile across a room with a single push. This level of force from a 6-year-old human child is alarming to many species present. Alarming, Taemin repeated. He looked around the chamber. You're alarmed that she's strong enough to defend herself. You're alarmed that when someone tried to kill her, she had the ability to stop it. A delegate from the back spoke up. It was a Kresh, a serpent-like species with scales that shimmered green. Ambassador, you must understand our concern. Most species in council space have children who are fragile. Our young require many years to develop strength. But human children are born strong. They grow stronger. A human teenager could kill most adults of other species with bare hands. This is fact, not fear. I know it's fact, Taemin said. We know what we are. The question is, what do you want us to do about it? Should human children let themselves be hurt? Let themselves be killed? Should we teach them to accept violence because fighting back might scare you? No one is saying that, another delegate said. This one was from the Altheria, a species that floated like balloons filled with gas. But there must be guidelines. Safety measures. There are guidelines, Taemin said. Human children are taught from very young age to be gentle, to control their strength, to be careful with others. Hayun knows she's stronger than many of her friends. She's careful when she plays. She's careful when she hugs. She's careful all the time. He pulled up more footage. This time it showed Hayun over the past 6 months on Vistara 4, playing with other children. Being careful. Holding a small Altherian child like it was made of glass. Helping a Kresh child climb stairs. Sharing her lunch, laughing, being kind. She's careful, Taemin repeated, until someone tries to kill her. And then you want to punish her for surviving. The Mindweaver pulsed again. We understand your point, Ambassador. But consider our perspective. We have built a civilization across thousands of worlds. Hundreds of species living together. Peace is maintained through understanding and trust. If we cannot trust that human children will not harm other children, Hayun didn't harm anyone, Taemin said, his voice rising. She was harmed. Soft Carapace harmed her. And Soft Carapace harmed her because Soft Carapace was taught that humans are dangerous, that humans are monsters, that humans are death makers. He looked directly at Deshkar. Your child learned hate. Not from humans. From you. From your people. And then your child acted on that hate. And when the victim had the audacity to survive, You came here demanding she be punished for it. The Shkar's wings buzzed again, but it was a different sound now, softer, almost like shame. The Mindweaver called for a recess. The council would deliberate. Taemin was escorted to a private chamber to wait. Hyun was brought there too. Also 2 other humans who worked at the council station. Dae-young was a tall man with gray hair and serious eyes. He was Earth's military liaison. He coordinated security and defense matters. Thura was younger, barely 30, with quick, clever eyes. She was the cultural attaché. She helped aliens understand humans and humans understand aliens. Brought Hyun juice and crackers. The girl sat on a couch that was too big for her. Her feet didn't touch the floor. She ate the crackers slowly, mechanically, like she wasn't really tasting them. You did great, Ora told her gently. You were very brave. Hyun didn't respond. She just stared at her hands. Dae-young stood by the window, looking out at the space station's corridors. Ships passed by outside, traveling to and from docking bays. They're scared, Dae-young said quietly. He was speaking to Taemin, not Hyun. This has been coming for years. We all knew it would. What do you mean? Taemin asked. Humans are dangerous, Dae-young said simply. We've always been dangerous. Even before we left Earth, we killed all the other human species. Neanderthals, Denisovans, all the others. We didn't mean to, mostly. We just outcompeted them, out-hunted them, outbred them. We're very good at surviving. He turned to look at Taemin. And now we're in space, living among species that are smarter than us in many ways. More advanced, better technology, longer civilizations. But physically, most of them are weak. A human child could kill a creche adult. A human teenager could kill 5. A human adult could kill 20 before anyone could stop them. But we don't, Ora said firmly. We choose not to. I know, Dae-young said. You know, Taemin knows. But do they know? Really know? Or do they just hope we'll keep choosing peace? Taemin sat down heavily. He was tired. So tired. He had been fighting this battle for 12 years in small ways. Little incidents, misunderstandings, accidents, always having to explain. Always having to apologize for being strong. They tolerate us, Dae-young continued, because we're useful. We do security work, heavy labor, mining, combat when needed. Jobs that would kill most other species. But they don't think about what that means. They don't want to think about it. What does it mean? Hyun asked suddenly. Her voice was small but clear. The 3 adults looked at her. She was watching them with those big eyes. Still holding her juice box, Dae-young knelt down so he was at her eye level. It means you're strong, Hyun. Stronger than most of the kids you play with. Stronger than most of the adults here, too. And that's not bad. Being strong isn't bad. Then why are they mad at me? She asked. Because being strong is scary to people who aren't strong, Dae-young said gently. They look at you and see what you could do, not what you choose to do. I chose to make it stop, Hyun whispered. I didn't want to hurt soft carapace. I just wanted it to stop hurting me. I know, sweetheart, Bo-ra said. She sat next to Hyun and put an arm around her. Everyone knows now. Taemin watched them. He thought about the council, about all those aliens sitting in judgment, about the fear in their eyes when they looked at Hyun. He thought about what Dae-young said, about humans being dangerous, about the choice to be peaceful, and he thought about what would happen if the council decided that choice wasn't enough. If they decided human children were too dangerous to be around other children, if they started separating them, isolating them, treating them like bombs waiting to explode. What would happen to children like Hyun, growing up being told they were monsters, being told to be afraid of themselves, being told their strength was a curse? What would those children become? Not the peaceful humans the council wanted? That was certain. I need to make them understand, Taemin said. Understand what? Bo asked. That fear creates the very thing they're afraid of, Taemin said. Soft Carapace attacked Heiyun because it was taught to fear humans, to hate them. If the council punishes Heiyun, they'll teach every human child that the galaxy hates them, that it fears them, and children who grow up believing they're monsters. He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Dae-young nodded slowly. They become what they're called. Yes, Taemin said. Heiyun looked up at him. I don't want to be a monster. Taemin came and knelt in front of her, just like Dae-young had. He took her small hands in his. You're not a monster, Heiyun. You're a child. A brave, kind, careful child. And I'm going to make sure everyone knows that. How? She asked. Tae-min thought about the council, about their fear, about the broken podium in his past that he'd seen other ambassadors use to make dramatic points. I'm going to show them what a real human looks like, he said, and I'm going to make them see the difference. When the council called them back, the chamber felt different. The air seemed heavier. The aliens sat quietly in their seats. They watched as Taemin and Heiyun entered. Some looked guilty. Some looked uncertain. Many still looked afraid. The Mindweaver floated at its position. It pulsed a steady blue, thinking color, deciding color. The council has reviewed all evidence, it said. We acknowledge that the human child acted in self-defense. However, we remain concerned about the level of force used. We must consider the safety of all children in council space. Taemin felt his jaw tighten. They were still going to punish her. Maybe not as harshly, but they were still going to make her leave. Still going to mark her as dangerous. I request permission to make a final statement, Taemin said. The Mindweaver pulsed. You may speak, Ambassador. Taemin walked to the center of the chamber. He turned slowly, looking at all the different species, all the different faces and forms and ways of being, a whole galaxy of life, beautiful and varied and wonderful, and afraid of a 6-year-old girl. You call Heiyun a beast, he began. His voice was calm, but it carried. You look at her and you see danger. You see strength. You see what she could do. And it scares you. Some of the aliens shifted in their seats. A few nodded. I understand, Taemin said. I do, because you're right. Heiyun is strong. Much stronger than most children here. Much stronger than she looks. And that strength is frightening to beings who don't have it. He paused. But you're making a mistake. You're seeing only the strength. You're not seeing the control, the choice, the restraint. Ambassador, the Kresh delegate said, we saw the recording. We know she held back. But the fact that she had to hold back is itself concerning. What if she hadn't? What if she had struck instead of pushed? Then Soft Carapace would be dead, Taemin said bluntly. The chamber erupted in noise. Aliens making sounds of shock and fear. Wings buzzing. Voices clicking and hissing and humming. Taemin raised his voice over the chaos. Yes, dead. A 6-year-old human child who is angry and scared and in pain could kill with her bare hands. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. I'm not going to make it sound less than it is. The Mindweaver pulsed red. Warning color. Ambassador, you are not helping your case. I'm telling you the truth, Taemin interrupted. You want to know what humans are? I'll tell you. We're from a world that tried to kill us every single day. Our planet has poison plants, venomous animals, predators that can bite through steel, whether that can freeze you solid or cook you alive, diseases that eat you from inside. For thousands of years, everything on our world wanted us dead. He started walking as he spoke, moving around the chamber so everyone could see him clearly. And we survived, he said. We survived because we're tough, because we heal fast, because we can run longer than almost any animal, because we can throw things hard enough to kill, because we can think and plan and adapt. We survived because we refused to die. The aliens were listening now. The chamber had gone quiet again. Do you know what a persistence hunter is? Taemin asked. Our ancestors would pick an animal, something bigger and stronger than us, something with claws and teeth and horns, and we would chase it. Not fast, slowly, steadily, for hours, for days if needed. The animal would run and run and run, and we would just keep coming. Keep walking, keep following, until the animal's heart gave out, until it collapsed from exhaustion. Then we would kill it with rocks. He let that sink in. Let them imagine it. Humans with no claws, no fangs, no shells, no venom. Just endurance and determination and the refusal to give up. That's what we are, Taemin said. We're the things that don't stop. We're the species that survived everything our world threw at us and then looked at the stars and said we want to go there too. This is exactly our concern. Leshkar started. I'm not finished, Taemin said sharply. The Vrelian went quiet. Yes, Taemin continued, humans are dangerous. We're strong. We're tough. We're persistent. We're very, very good at violence when we need to be. But here's what you're missing. Here's what you refuse to see. He stopped walking. He stood in the center of the chamber and looked up at all of them. We choose not to be violent, he said. Every single day, every single hour, every human in council space makes that choice constantly. Do you know how easy it would be for me to kill everyone in this room? The guards tensed. Weapons started to rise. Taemin ignored them. I could break through that security barrier before anyone could stop me. I could kill 20 aliens before the stunners brought me down. Maybe more. My body produces adrenaline that lets me ignore pain. My bones are dense enough to break steel. My grip strength could crush most of your windpipes. He held up his hands. Normal-looking hands. Nothing special. But the aliens looked at them like they were weapons. But I don't, Taemin said quietly. I've been on this station for 12 years. I've been insulted, dismissed, discriminated against. I've watched humans be treated like animals. Like things. Like we're only good for dangerous work. And I've never once raised my hand in violence. He lowered his hands. Why do you think that is? No one answered. Because I choose not to, Taemin said. Because despite being dangerous, despite being strong, despite being capable of terrible violence, I choose peace. Every human here makes that choice. Every day, we choose diplomacy. We choose patience. We choose restraint. He walked toward Hyun. She stood small and scared in her judgment circle. He stood next to her, put a hand on her shoulder. This child made that choice, Taemin said. When soft carapace attacked her, she could have fought back. She could have struck with her fists. She could have kicked. She could have used her teeth. Humans have very strong bites, did you know that? She could have done terrible damage. But she didn't, he said. She pushed once, just enough to stop the attack. Just enough to survive. A 6-year-old child, terrified and bleeding and in pain, still chose minimal force. Still chose restraint. He looked at the Mindweaver. And you want to punish her for it. You want to call her a beast. You want to exile her. You want to make an example of her. Why? Because she's strong enough to defend herself? Because she refused to die quietly? The Mindweaver pulsed multiple colors rapidly, confusion, consideration. If you call her a beast, Taemin said, his voice dropping low, then you call all of us beasts. You call me a beast. He turned and walked to the podium. The white stone podium at the front of the chamber. The ceremonial podium that had been carved from marble taken from the Mindweaver homeworld. It was a symbol, a piece of their history brought here to represent the weight and importance of council decisions. Tae-Min placed both hands on it. I am a beast, he said. I am dangerous. I am strong. I am capable of violence. He looked around at all of them, at the hundreds of aliens watching him. Then so am I, he said, and he slammed his hand down. The sound was like thunder, like a crack of lightning. The marble podium split down the middle, fracture lines spider-webbed from where his hand struck. Pieces broke off and clattered to the floor. The entire podium shook. The floor shook. The walls shook. The room shook. Several smaller aliens lost their balance. Alarms started going off. The gravity stabilizers flickered and struggled to compensate for the sudden kinetic shock. Tae-Min pulled his hand back. His palm was red. It would bruise, but nothing was broken. Not on him, the podium, though. The podium was destroyed. He held up his hand so everyone could see. I did that with a single strike. I'm not even trying to be strong right now. This is just normal human strength. Normal human capability. The chamber was dead silent. I could do worse, Tae-Min said quietly. So much worse. Every human could. We don't because we choose not to. He walked back to Hyun. Knelt beside her. She chose not to, he said. A child chose peace over violence. Chose restraint over rage. Chose minimal force over maximum damage. And you want to punish her for that choice. He stood and faced the council. If you exile her, you tell every human child that their choices don't matter. That their restraint means nothing. That when they're attacked, they're expected to die rather than defend themselves. You tell them the galaxy doesn't want them. Doesn't trust them. Sees them only as threats. His voice hardened. How long do you think humans will stay in council space under those terms? How long before children who grow up being called monsters decide to become what you call them? The council went into deliberation. Tae-Min was escorted back to the waiting chamber. His hand throbbed. The skin was turning purple already. He would need to get it looked at. But that could wait. Hyun sat on the couch again. Beora was with her. The girl looked exhausted. The stress and fear of the past 3 days had worn her down. She was pale and her eyes were red-rimmed. Did you hurt your hand? Hyun asked quietly. A little, Tae-Min admitted. But it was worth it. Why did you break the podium? Tae-Min sat down next to her. His hand was starting to swell now. He flexed his fingers carefully. Nothing broken. Just bruised bone and inflamed tissue. He would heal. I needed them to see something, he said. I needed them to understand what we are. What you are, a beast? Hyun asked. She sounded sad. No, Tae-Min said firmly. I needed them to see that being strong doesn't make you a beast. Using that strength wisely makes you civilized. You used your strength to defend yourself. You used only as much as you needed. That's not being a beast. That's being human. Hyun was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Soft Carapace called me a monster, I know. Am I a monster? Tae-Min turned to look at her directly. He took her small hand in his good hand. No, Hyun. You're not a monster. You're a child who was hurt and scared and you protected yourself. That's all. Anyone who says different is wrong. But I did hurt Soft Carapace. Soft Carapace hurt you first? Tae-Min said. Soft Carapace tried to hurt you worse. You stopped it. That's not wrong. That will never be wrong. Tears started sliding down Hyun's cheeks. I just wanted to play with the blocks. I just wanted to be friends. But Beora pulled her close. The girl cried into Beora's shoulder while Beora stroked her hair and made soft comforting sounds. Dae-Young stood by the door. He had watched everything through a monitor. He looked at Tae-Min and nodded slightly, approval, or maybe just acknowledgement. They waited for 3 hours. 3 long, terrible hours. Hyun fell asleep eventually, exhausted from crying. Beora held her gently. Tae-Min got his hand wrapped by a medical drone. Dae-Young paced. Finally, a guard came. Not one of the aggressive ones with weapons. A different one. A creche with kind eyes. The council has reached a decision, it said. Its voice was soft so as not to wake Hyun. They request your presence. Beora gently woke Hyun. The girl's eyes were puffy and confused. Is it over? She asked. Almost, Tae-Min said. And just a little more. Can you be brave one more time? Hyun nodded. She took Tae-Min's good hand and they walked back to the council. Chambered together, the chamber felt different now, quieter, less hostile. The aliens watched them enter, but there was something different in how they looked. Less fear, more something else. Taemin couldn't quite name it. The Mindweaver floated at its position. It pulsed a steady green. Peaceful color. Decision-made color. The council has reached a decision, it announced. Its voice was solemn in everyone's minds. We have reviewed all evidence. We have heard testimony from all parties. We have considered the implications of our judgment carefully. Taemin held Hyun's hand tighter. She squeezed back. We find, the Mindweaver said, that the human juvenile Hyun acted in self-defense. The attack against her was unprovoked and potentially lethal. Her response was proportional and controlled. The classification of beast form is rescinded. Relief flooded through Taemin like water. His knees almost buckled. Next to him, Hyun made a small sound. Not quite a sob. Not quite a laugh. Just release. Furthermore, the Mindweaver continued, we acknowledge that council law failed to protect a child under our jurisdiction. The Vrelian delegation has agreed to issue a formal apology. The juvenile soft carapace will undergo behavioral correction and education about human species. Soft carapace's parent will also undergo education regarding appropriate attitudes toward other species. Deshkar stood. The Vrelian walked down from its seat. It approached Hyun slowly. Its wings were folded back. Its posture was low. In Vrelian culture, this was profound submission. Deep apology. Young one, Deshkar said. The translator made its voice soft and sad. My child harmed you. You defended yourself. This is right and proper. I apologize for seeking punishment for your survival. I apologize for my child's words. I apologize for my own teachings that led to those words. The Vrelian lowered its head even further. Among Vrelians, exposing the soft part of the neck was the ultimate gesture of trust and apology. You are not a beast, Deshkar said. You are not a monster. You are a child who showed more wisdom and control than my own child. More than I myself showed. I am ashamed. Hyun looked up at Taemin uncertainly. He nodded ENCOUR. She turned to Deshkar and said very quietly, Thank you. I hope Soft Carapace feels better soon. I didn't want to hurt them. I really didn't. Deshkar's wings fluttered. The translator caught something that might have been surprise or emotion. You wish my child well? After everything? I just wanted them to stop, Hyun said. I just wanted to be safe. I don't hate Soft Carapace. I just don't want to be hurt anymore. The Vrelian was still for a long moment. Then its wings spread slightly. A gesture of respect. You have great wisdom, young one, Deshkar said. Greater than many adults. You will grow to be a credit to your species. The Mindweaver pulsed again. The Council also acknowledges Ambassador Taemin's testimony and demonstration. We understand now that human restraint is active, not passive. It is a choice made constantly, not a natural state. This level of self-control is worthy of respect and recognition. One by one, the alien delegates stood. It started with the Kresh, then the Altheria, then others. Soon the entire council was standing, showing respect in their various ways. Some bowed, some made gestures, some simply stood in acknowledgement they were apologizing. All of them. For judging too quickly, for seeing only fear, for not recognizing the choice. Taemin felt something tight in his chest loosen. He had been carrying tension for years, carrying the weight of representing a species that everyone feared. And for the first time he felt like maybe they understood. Maybe they saw? Thank you, he said simply. On behalf of humanity, thank you. The Mindweaver pulsed warm colors. We have much to learn about your species, Ambassador. About strength and choice. About restraint and control. We hope you will be patient with us as we learn. We will, Taemin said. That's what we do. We're patient. We're persistent. We don't give up on peace. Hyun tugged on his hand. He looked down at her. Can I go home now? She asked. I want to see my mom. Taemin smiled. The first real smile he had managed in days. Yes, let's go home. 3 months later, Taemin was back on the council station for routine meetings. During a break, he went to the recreation dome. The same dome where everything had happened. It had been repaired and upgraded. Better supervision now? More safety measures. More education about different species. Hyun was there. Her mother had agreed to let her come back, to show that humans weren't afraid, that they still believed in the Council's mission of unity. She was building with blocks again, making another tower. This time, a young creche was helping her. A different child, not soft carapace. The creche child was careful with its coils, making sure not to knock over the blocks. Can we make it even taller? The creche asked. Sure, Hyun said, smiling. But we need to make the base stronger first. Otherwise, it'll fall over. They worked together, talking and laughing. Just two children playing Ba'ara came to stand next to Taemin. She watched the children with him. It's different now, she said quietly. After your speech? After everything. The other species look at humans differently. How so? With respect, Ba'ara said. Still some fear, but respect too. They understand now that we choose peace, that it's not weakness or inability, it's choice. Taemin nodded. His hand had healed. The bruise was gone, but he still remembered the feeling of the marble breaking, the shock wave through the room, the moment when everything changed. Other ambassadors are calling you something new, Ba'ara said. A title. What title? The Beast Speaker, she said. They say you spoke for the beast in all of us, the dangerous part, the strong part, and you made them see it wasn't something to fear if it chose not to be. Taemin watched Hyun. She was laughing now at something the creche child said. Pure, innocent laughter. The sound of a child who felt safe again. We're not beasts, he said softly. We never were. We're just humans. Strong, yes. Dangerous, yes. But human. And that means we choose. Every day. We choose to be better. Down in the dome, Hyun looked up and saw him. She waved, her face bright with joy. He waved back. She wasn't a beast. She never had been. She was just a child. A human child, and that, Taemin thought, was the most powerful thing of all. Not the strength. Not the danger. Not the capability for violence. The choice. Always the choice. To be strong and gentle. To be dangerous and kind. To be capable of terrible things and choose to do good things instead. That was humanity. That was what made them special. Not their strength, but what they did with it. Hyun went back to building her tower. The creche child helped. Together, they made something beautiful, and in a galaxy full of different species, different cultures, different ways of being, two children showed what unity really meant, not the absence of difference. Not pretending everyone was the same, but acknowledging the differences and choosing to build something together anyway.